Hello, everybody. Welcome to Troop Talk Live. My name is Aaron. I'm joined by my good friend and co-host Angelique. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. As always, this is the time of the day, the time of the week where we talk about all things Scouts BSA. We have a good show for you guys today. Today, our topic is the Scout Essentials, the Scout Basic Essentials. We have a sponsor to today's show. Shout out to Sawyer Products. A lot of you guys are already familiar with Sawyer Products. When I asked Angelique about using Sawyer as a sponsor, she was 100% on board because she said she already owns a lot of Sawyer products. Since 1984, Sawyer Products has offered the best, most technologically advanced solutions for protection against sun, bugs, water, and injuries. Everything from first aid kits developed for wilderness use to our newest tropical insect repellents that use time-released liposome technology. Sawyer Products, thanks so much for sponsoring our show today. I'm going to have some more information on Sawyer throughout the show today. But as we get started, Angelique, why don't you start off with an overview when we say the Scout Basic Essentials?
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about it. Yeah, the Scout Basic Essentials. So, in Cub Scouts, we have the Cub Scout Essentials, but in Scouts BSA, we also have Scout Essentials, and it's a little bit longer of a list. There are 10 things. And those are the things that you should keep in your day pack on your person when you are going out on a hike, because leave no trace, plan ahead and prepare, right? That's to have your backpack with your 10 essentials in it ready to go. I carry them for scouting and when I'm going hiking on my own without my scouts.
Yeah, that's probably a great point right there. Is we call them the Scout Basic Essentials. You could also call them the Outdoor Essentials, the Hiking Essentials. As a matter of fact, I think the original concept of these essentials were developed by an outdoors company 100 or so years ago. As we get started, we're going to go down each item and break it down. Angelique is going to quiz me on some of my knowledge of the Scout Essentials. Pray for me, everybody, please. Hope I do well. Quick shout out to you folks watching. Omid, Rusty, I believe it may be Yves Marie. Thank you for watching. Rob says he uses the Sawyer spray on his shoes to keep away the chiggers. Very, very cool. Shout out to Wendy from Elgin, Illinois. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. If you have any questions, we will do our best to answer. But without further ado, Angelique, let's go down the Scout Basic Essentials. There are 10 of them.
Yes.
What's number one?
Okay, so I have my backpack. My day pack is right here, and I'm going to pull my things out one by one.
I love that Angelique came ready for a show and tell today. Thank you for doing that.
I'm a scouter. I have scouts. We go hiking. We go camping. I have all the things ready to go. All right, perfect. So the first one is, I think probably everyone recognizes it. I have a very spiffy one from Jamboree, but what do you think this is?
That's a very cool one, and I'm going to go with pocket knife for this one. I think that's probably what most people think of when you think about the essentials for what a scout carries. I think people probably think pocket knife. If you were to ask me why, Angelique, why a pocket knife, I would guess that it could be, why is a pocket knife essential? Well,
what do you think?
And all you folks watching, Eugene, I believe it might be Micheline. Feel free to weigh in with your opinions. Why would a pocket knife be? Now, I actually have the answers right over here, Angelique, but I'm trying to keep my eyes averted. A pocket knife, and I've also this is something else you can address, because I've heard some people call them a multi-tool. It can be used for different things. But why don't you explain to us what's so simple about that?
The very basics of it, right, is a pocket knife that we're all used to that has a knife. So that a knife in and of itself is a very handy tool. You can use it for all kinds of things and all kinds of emergency situations. You can shave little pieces of the dry wood off. You can cut something that's tangled up. There's lots of different uses for it. But a multi-tool is just like it sounds like, it has multi-tools on it. It might have a screwdriver. It might have a leather punch. It might have a can opener. So a multi-tool is just a different structure of a tool, but it also has a blade in it. And it's one of those basic things. You think very scouty, like you said, it's something we all recognize as a scouty item, but it's purely practical. Like if you just got a screw comes out of your glasses, you can fix your screw on that. If you've got, you you brought a tin of tuna or whatever for lunch, and you can open the can and get it ready. Peeling potatoes is a comment.
Good job idea. Yeah, Mid, good job.
Yeah. Absolutely. You could peel potatoes with your knife. There's just so many uses. It's handy to have.
Yep. That obviously makes sense. One of the things that I think of with my pocket knife was opening up that bag of freeze-dried food to cook for dinner. Yes. But the eyeglass thing, I didn't think about that. I've absolutely had that happen to me before. Yep. These screws pop out for no reason sometimes. Yep. So great point there. Okay, so that's number 1 on our list of Scout Basic Essentials. Angelique?
Okay, number 2. Go into my big bag here. Well, I've got this. What do you think this is?
Oh, so I can tell by, you know what? I actually wouldn't know, but I can hear the way that the sound of the fabric tells me it's something that's waterproof.
Yeah.
I guess that is some sort of rain protection or something like that.
Absolutely. And that one, I think you can guess real quickly why that's important.
Yeah, nothing worse than being wet and miserable when you're outdoors. I would also add it is a serious health issue, right? If you're wet and cold, right, it's more than uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, it's not just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. You could get hypothermia even when it's fairly warm out if you are wet for hours at a time. So always have your rain gear. I also carry rain pants in addition to my rain jacket in my bag because pants are they make a lot of sense. You could do a poncho. I like pants. I can sit down easier and they cover a little bit more and can keep me warmer when it's colder out.
Yeah, and part of being prepared for any, again, like Angelique said, not just a Scout outing. Anytime you go for a walk, right? Anytime you go on a hike, check the weather. But we also know that sometimes the weather forecast, sometimes they lie to us, Angelique. Sometimes it rains, even if we don't think it's going to rain. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Angelique, that's why we call this an essential.
Right.
You bring rain gear no matter what the forecast says.
Right. You should, I keep all of these items in my day pack pretty much no matter what. I might add a few items. We could talk about that at the end, a few things that might be extra. But these items just live every day in my pack because it's handy to have and I can grab the whole thing and go and I'm ready for pretty much anything.
That is awesome. Before we move on to the next item, Angelique, let's take a look at your rain. Was that a poncho that you had there?
So I have a coat, and it is a coat with a hood, and it zips up, and it's waterproof, and I like it very much. But
look how dry she is.
Yeah,
but you can roll that up. Do you compact that and put it in your backpack?
It rolls up real small.
I think that's
stuff it into a little pack, and it's about the size of a soda can when it's all stuffed up.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I have a rain, maybe more of a poncho, but similar to that. To me, that's something cool to look for is how compact it could get, so it doesn't take up too much extra space in your bag. Yeah, very, very cool. Okay, we've hit 2 of the 10 Scout Basic Essentials. We've hit pocket knife. We've hit rain gear. Angelique.
All right. Our next item is. Drum roll. I'm getting it. Here it is. Okay. So, caveat, I carry a much larger item of these because I'm often with Scouts who don't remember to carry everything. But this is, let's see.
That looks like food to me.
Got some food in there. Got some electrolytes. Got some hot sauce because you never know when you're going to need the hot sauce.
You never know, yes.
So that is my food, my trail food. It's all shelf-stable stuff that isn't going to go bad by living in my pack for a long time.
Now, when you say trail food, Angelique, correct me if I'm wrong, we're talking about more like snacks and not necessarily dinners and full meals. Am I right? Or how would you define trail food?
I would say trail food is just high energy food. So you get a lot of calories for a small pack because it sits in your bag and you sometimes only bring it if you have an emergency, then you have some calories for the day. It's good when you're out like longer than you expected and you're starting to get hungry or dehydrated. You've got what you need, like the electrolytes are, salts and sugars. And then you've got some protein bars or meal bars in there just to give you that extra little boost in case you get stuck out longer than you intended.
Yeah, to me, that's critical because you might be thinking, well, I've got meals planned. What could go wrong? What else do I need? You never know when you might end up hiking slower than you think. It might take you longer to get back than you think. It may even if it's just a few hours longer than you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Some snacks, right? Protein bar, like you said. I mean, that's a total game changer.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're with someone who maybe didn't plan ahead and prepare, and they didn't bring, or they left on an empty stomach, and now they're not feeling well because they need some calories, then it's good to just have that with you.
I mean, I've never been in a situation like that before. Based on that, the size of Angelique's bag there, that tells me that she has. So Angelique's a volunteer.
I am prepared for all of my kids, all of my scouts. Yeah, just in case. And the hot sauce is in there in case, what we prepare at camp didn't turn out real great. We can cover it up with some hot sauce.
Just put hot sauce on there and it tastes great. Yes. Yeah. That should be probably our number one essential right there. Yes. Yeah. All right. So again, thanks everybody for watching today. This is Troop Talk Live, sponsored by Sawyer Products. We're going to hear more about Sawyer Products as we move forward. But very much, I could just say, even if Sawyer wasn't paying for it to be sponsored, I would say, a very trusted brand. Angelique, when we talked about it before, she said she uses Sawyer. Behind the scenes, Brian told me earlier he uses Sawyer. So that's why when we talked with Sawyer and they said, we'd like to sponsor a show, we said, where do we sign up? Appreciate you guys. And we're going to have more about Sawyer as we move forward. Talking about the Scout Basic Essentials today. By the way, shout out to Eric, who is watching from the Liberia Scouts Association. I love our international viewers. Thank you so much for watching. We have a lot of international viewers who may be non-BSA viewers, but they're still Scouts. And I bet they have some version of the Scout Basic Essentials over there. Let us know, Eric and Omid, what you guys have for Scout Basic Essentials. We've covered pocket knives, rain gear, trail food. It's time for our number 4. What's number 4, Angelique?
All right. We've got, let's see, it's in a little pouch so I can put it on my belt, but what do we got here?
So that's fancy. That's a lot fancier than my version of what I have. That's a light source. That looks like a flashlight, and maybe, is that a headlamp in your other hand there?
Yeah, this one is my head trust. I actually use my headlamp more than my flashlight. My flashlight just kind of lives in my bag, but I have a flat headlamp. So it's very stylish, right? It goes right here. You can put it over your hat. It's adjustable, flashy. I like it. But it makes way more sense usually than a flashlight. But I have a flashlight too, just in case like one of them's not working or I lose one. I have a backup. So I always have both.
Yeah, I love the idea of having a backup light source. The whole nature of batteries is that they do fail. They do run out eventually. And I want to tell a true story if I could real quick, Angelique. When I first went camping with my son's Cub Scout pack, that was many years ago, I said, you know what? I'm not going to be one of those people that wears a headlamp. I'm going to carry a flashlight because I thought for whatever reason that was cooler. Well, try setting up a tent at night with a flashlight in one hand. And then you realize pretty quick the value of a headlamp. It took one tip out, Angelique, for me to talk. I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm gonna use a headlamp from now on. The ability to have two hands free, right?
Yeah. Cooking dinner in the dark. Trying to find something in your pack with those are all things you need a headlamp as opposed to a flashlight.
Absolutely agree 100%. All right. We are now on to item number 5 on our list of Scout Basic Essentials. We've covered the pocket knife, rain gear, trail food. Angelique just showed off her 2 impressive flashlights. What is number 5 on our list?
This one is a representative. Now, this is the one thing, this item I do carry with me, like in my pack, but it might change depending on what season we're in. And this one's very spiffy. It's a wood badge one, right? Nice. So we've got this, but it's not just this. What do you think it is?
So what you're wearing there looks to me like a cap.
Right.
Probably to put on, you maybe even if you're not doing what you would consider cold weather camping or cold weather hiking, you bring it with you just in case. But my guess, this is just a guess, Angelique, is that this is just one of maybe several items of clothing that might be a good idea for you to carry with you.
Yeah, so extra clothing, and it depends on the season and what weather you're expecting. In the winter, it's particularly more important. There's nothing more uncomfortable and dangerous than having, wet feet or wet layers, base layers. So depending on what season it is, the extra clothing will live in my backpack. So I can adjust to the temperature changes or change if I get damp.
And I would say that, again, kind of like rain gear, while it is a matter of comfort, it's also a matter of being healthy and safe. And it's not fun being cold outside. And as a matter of fact, it could be dangerous depending on how you're built, on what you're used to. whether the wind is blowing or not, all these things like that. It doesn't have to be 20 degrees outside to become hypothermic, is what we've learned in scouting, right? If your body can't replace the heat that it's losing, I mean, that could happen in 50-degree weather. It doesn't have to be that cold. Extra clothing, definitely one of the essentials. Before we move on next, we've got a quick video to show again. Again, shout out to our friends at Sawyer for sponsoring our show today on the Scout Basic Essentials. We're going to take a very brief look at some content from Sawyer, and then Angelique and me will be right back with the rest of our list of 10 essentials.
We're Sawyer, and since 1984, we've been creating technically better solutions for peace of mind in the outdoors. Why? Because we believe everyone deserves to be safe. We believe nature wants to be explored. We believe industry standards should be exceeded. We believe nonprofits deserve some of ours. And we believe the outdoors is a place for community, from the backcountry to the backyard. We're more than an outdoor company, and we believe a thank you is due for anyone who supports our products. Because of you, we've spent a decade teaming up with over 140 charities in 80 countries, bringing Sawyer water filtration systems to people in need all around the world. You help us provide long-term sustainable relief, domestically, internationally, and in disaster situations, perhaps without even knowing it. So, from everyone at Sawyer, thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Together, we're saving millions of lives.
Thank you, Sawyer. We appreciate that very, very much. Some of those products that are mentioned in there kind of correspond with our show today. We're going to get into a little more detail about that later. I want to give a quick shout out to Sawyer. Their award-winning 0.1 micron absolute hollow fiber membrane filters set the new standard for removal rates and flow rates when it comes to water filters. We're going to talk about the importance of drinking water and that kind of thing here in just a second. They also offer family-friendly and gear-safe insect repellents for your skin, clothing, and gear. Rob said he uses his on his boots. Makes total sense. Their repellents provide protection from mosquitoes and ticks that carry the Zika virus, Lyme disease, the Powassan virus, West Nile virus, dengue, chikungunya, and more. I think insect repellent is one of those things, kind of like rain gear, where you think that it's just sort of comfort, but it's really more than that. It's about being healthy. No collection of products tells nature's microscopic dangers to buzz off and be gone like Sawyer. From insects to bites and stings and harmful water bacteria to the sun's UV rays. Thank you so much, Sawyer, for sponsoring our show today. We appreciate that very much. Shout out to Jean, who is watching in Haiti. Man, so cool. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Amy says the majority of their troop camping is cold weather. Layers and materials are very important. Yes, they are. Thank you very much. Mark, this is a cool idea. Mark says they practice setting up tents with a blindfold.
Yeah.
When it gets late at night. Angelique, it sounds like that sounds familiar to you.
That sounds like a fun patrol challenge that I'm going to be doing this week.
There you go. Very good. Thank you very much. Okay, so we've rattled off 5 of the 10 Scout Basic Essentials. Bucket knife, rain gear, trail food, flashlight, extra clothing. What's next on our list, Angelique?
Again, since I am an adult volunteer with my unit, mine is a little bit larger than you generally need, but what do you think?
That's a big old first aid kit right there. Yeah, mine is not that big. Mine's a little more of a smaller sort of, not wallet size, but a slightly bigger one. That looks like a first aid kit for a whole group, right?
So yeah, I have enough stuff here to treat for a whole group, and I carry some other items that maybe aren't in your regular backpack, just because I have so many kids and I like to be prepared with my troop. But for most people, having a first aid kit, and again, we say this to our
first aid
handbook, that they need that first aid kit. They should have a bigger one that the troop carries, which we do. But then their own should have some basic personal supplies, things to cover small cuts and bruises, and some basics. So it usually is like that big for a scout.
Yes. Awesome. Very, very cool. again, as a recovering scout leader myself, yeah, I'm used to carrying a first aid kit for a pack of Cub Scouts for a hike, things like that. Angelique, for a troop of Scouts BSA members. But once again, I think, Angelique, correct me if I'm wrong, if you just go on a hike with a buddy, you probably need to bring at least a little first aid kit, right?
Yeah. I mean, you always should have a first aid kit with you. And then once you get in the habit of carrying it, like even as an adult, you should still have one. There should be one living in your car and one living in your home and different things in the kits depending on what you're doing, because we're Scouts and we're prepared.
Absolutely, yes. All right. First aid kit, definitely one of the essentials. What's next on our list?
Right. I have got 2 different things. Okay, well, first, this is my very favorite hat right here. My very favorite hat.
That's a hat.
Yeah, and then I've got, it's in a bag so it doesn't leak, but I put it on my skin when it's very sunny out. Can you guess what it is?
So what's interesting about this hat, it's different from that cap you put on earlier, which was clearly designed to keep your noggin warm. This has that wide brim, which indicates to me it's more about blocking the rays of the sun. My guess in this category is sun protection. I think the stuff you're talking about putting on your skin is sunscreen, right?
Yeah. So I've got sunscreen. Sawyer's got a great brand of sunscreen. I am excited to try it. But you should always have it with you in your pack, because even when it's not hot out, sometimes, depending on your skin color, you can get risk of sunburn. So it's important that we carry sunscreen with us.
Yeah. And again, like a lot of the things we've said on this list, sunburns aren't just annoying, they're dangerous.
Yeah.
And again, you don't know. You might be thinking, I'm only going to be on a 30-minute hike. You never know when it might end up being a little bit longer. That's why we bring the Scout Essentials with us, even on hikes that we think are just going to be just short little hikes. So definitely can see the need for sun protection.
Yeah.
What else? We should what's in Angelique's pack? This is fascinating. I just love to see this. What's next?
Okay. What's next? All right. So, I mean, they're the first one. This next one, a lot of people are used to having this on them, right? Because it's got this next tool built into it. But it's also important that we know how to use analog tools. Now, I'm from Illinois, so there's an Illinois map. And then I've got a compass here. And I have these just in case, because my phone it's not always going to work. I might lose it. I might break it. It might run out of batteries. So just in case, I have a map and a compass with me in my pack.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about how much we rely on the technology from our phones to save us in case we get lost. But, Angelique, you and I probably both remember when cell phones first came out and it didn't always work. It's hard to imagine that there are still spots on this planet where you don't get cell phone service. It actually happens, yeah. Not to mention all the other things that could go wrong. I have absolutely pulled my cell phone out of my pocket one time and had a cracked screen from who knows what I was doing, sitting down on it wrong. When you're on a hike or a trip like that, who knows when the last time it was charged? Just hiking in the heat during the day can wear the phone out. Boy, I mean, and that's why we still teach map and compass skills in Scouts BSA, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, my camp doesn't get a good cell signal. So even at my Scout camp, which is, not that far from my house, I don't have a good cell signal. So it's important to know how to use a map, how to read a paper map, and how to use a compass. Just as important it is to know how to use those tools on your phone. I have an app that I love for hiking that I help track, but I always print out a paper map for if I'm hiking in a new place, just in case, because I don't know if I'm going to have self-service or not, and I want to be able to get out safely.
Yeah, that's great. And that's a great thing, a point to make about having a map and compass is that it doesn't do you any good to have one if you don't know how to use one. Even if it's just a matter of knowing if you're lost or you've taken a wrong turn and your phone doesn't work, even if you just know a road is north of you, if you've looked at the map and you know that there's a highway or something, if you just go north, I mean, at minimum, at least you should know that kind of thing before you go out on a hike. But that's why we do that's the whole purpose of orienteering, right? Is to become really good at these map and compass skills. We are down to just 2 more final products. We're playing What's in Angelique's Backpack today, also known as the Scout Basic Essentials. Our show is brought to us by Sawyer Products. Thank you, Sawyer, for sponsoring our show today. Angelique, what is she going to pull up next, guys? I cannot wait
Okay,
to see.
here we go. All right, my next item, I've got it in a bag so that it stays dry because it's important that it stays dry. And I lost some things fell out of the bag, so we're going to just pretend and we're going to go with it. All right, so I have 2 different ways to do something.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that is?
Well, I can see why you'd want to keep these dry.
Yes.
Because this is not something that would work well, or at least it would become a lot more challenging to do it in wet weather. It looked to me like you have a lighter and maybe some maybe that's some matchsticks in the other one.
Yeah, some strike.
Fire starting tools, right?
Yeah, they are. They're my fire starting tools. So I have a little pack that I keep on my belt of my backpack. So my backpack has little pocket on the belt waist of it. But I also have a bigger fire starting pack that sits down in the base of my bag, and that's got like tinder, and it's got like some cotton balls with petroleum on them. So that's a fire starter, and it's got some strike anywhere matches that will strike anywhere and in the rain, and those are just in case. Those are like extra emergency.
So let's talk about this real quick, because obviously, if you're going, certainly really, again, on any overnight trip into the backcountry, certainly if it's a scout trip, you already know in advance if you're going to be doing campfires or not. You've gotten permission from the landowner or whatever it is. You know if there's a burn ban. So why do we need emergency fire starting kit, matches and fire starters and things like that?
Yeah, so if you have not planned ahead and prepared like you were supposed to, and you get stuck on the trail overnight, perhaps that you're not thinking about it, you should have everything you need to stay warm and dry and fed and watered when you're overnight accidentally. So having matches is something I can start a fire, which if I need it, hopefully I bought extra clothing and I don't need it, but if I did need it, I could start for warmth, or I could have it for cooking up some food. If I brought a meal ready to eat, I could use it very, very carefully to help let someone know where I am. There are lots of different reasons. Even could be as simple as melting the end of a cord that I need to tie on my gear so that the end is whipped and won't unravel. You never know. So it's easy, it's light. You might as well stick it in your backpack.
Yeah, and as we go through, we've gone through 9 of the 10 Scout Basic Essentials. What I'm realizing is that, like any good plan, there's a lot of redundancies, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully you have extra clothing,
Yes.
and you don't need to start a fire, but you never know. Hopefully you've got a rain gear so you're not trying to dry off. You never know. That's why we say be prepared, so you're prepared in case of any kind of emergency. Guys, it's time for our last piece of what's in Angelique's backpack. Angelique, what is the 10th essential?
The last item is really important. What do you think it is?
That is obviously a water bottle. You don't need. Look at that right there. That looks like some sort of water filtration device.
So water. It's always important to have at least, depending on what you're doing. I love this sticker. It said cried, but I did it anyway. It's always important to have enough water for you for the day. What that's going to look like depends a lot on how big of a person you are, what the weather is doing, how long you're going to be expected to be out. So it's important you bring more water than you think you're going to need. And then I really like having an extra. We talked about redundancy. I like having that redundancy in my bag and having just in case. So this is the Sawyer, and I swear I already owned this and I already like this product.
This was not pre-planned.
Yeah, this is the Sawyer Mini, and it's like this bag rolls up flat, and then this is just like this tiny little piece here. This is a water filter where I could fill it from a source of water out in the backcountry. And then you just, it's right there on the screen. You just can drink right out of it, or you can squeeze it into another bottle. And I think look, there it is. So I already love this product and think it's great and use it myself because it's just extra in case you run out.
Yeah, that's awesome. I never forget. One time I met a gentleman. He was like a photographer for National Geographic. So he was like an experienced, rugged outdoorsman. And he told me a story about one time when he was out somewhere taking pictures of some exotic location, and he came across this stream of what he thought was just pristine, clean water. What could go wrong? I'll just drink this water out of this pristine glacier melted waterfall, and he got so sick. He said, Angelique, I mean, once again, we're not talking about just being uncomfortable. We're talking about dangerous. Yeah, is that so? When you're out there, if you're thirsty, drinking contaminated water is not going to help the situation. You need some sort of filter, and what a great solution. One, like you said, that's portable that you can carry around like that.
Yeah, and it's not expensive. It's easy to put in my bag. I did a backcountry in Boundary Waters through Northern Tier. Yay, Northern Tier. But I went there and we had to treat our water, and the water, you pull it out of the lake, it looks perfect. Right. It looks crystal clear, like it came out of the tap. Right. And then, your trail guide is telling you, so there's giardia in the water because there are beavers that live nearby. So we have to make sure that we treat the water before we drink it. So even if it looks clean, it's probably not.
Yep. It is kind of weird that, I shouldn't say weird. It's interesting that these water filters can filter something like that. Going back to what Sawyer says, their filters at the level of 0.1 microns. I'm not sure exactly how small that is, but I know it's pretty darn small for a little piece of bacteria. Filter all of that out of your water to make it safe. I want to give a quick shout out to Pin King 554, who's watching on YouTube. Pin King, welcome to the show. I don't recognize your name. I'm glad you found us. Pin King says they usually carry around 4 liters of water, no matter what the situation is. They also said, Pin King, you must be a scout leader. He said he hammers the 10 essentials into their scouts in their troops' head so they know all 10 by heart and are able to teach it to a new scout or a scout who just crossed over. From my experience, I do think that kids are interested. This is something that kids are interested in. Like Cub Scouts were really interested in the 6 Cub Scout essentials. And then when they go into Scouts BSA, for whatever reason, this idea of these survival essential products, it's interesting to scout age kids. So it's usually something that you don't have to really make them bend over backwards to learn. Appreciate it, Pin King. There's one other item, Angelique, that we haven't mentioned today that I want to mention. And I know you said that you might have some other suggestions as well. Do you mind if I go first? Is that okay?
Go for it. Yeah.
This might be on your list as well. It's not listed in the 10 essentials, but I was going to bring up insect repellent, which is something that Sawyer offers as well. Again, not just about safety and not just about being annoyed by mosquitoes, but mosquitoes that spread disease. Insect repellent, to me, pretty darn critical. Angelique, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so this one is not on the list, and I really wonder why sometimes. Because
sure should be, doesn't it? Yeah.
I think it's really important. In my area, we have ticks. We have lots and lots of ticks. So ticks are something that also carry lots of diseases, and we need to be very careful about them. So when you said Sawyer would like to help us out and sponsor this, I was excited because I already, and this is an older can, but I already treat all of my whole family's uniforms, so their shirts, their pants, their socks, and their boots with this treatment, which is their insect repellent, and it stays on in the wash. So you spray everything the night before, and you let it dry overnight, and it protects you from ticks and mosquitoes, which is great, and from other insects. But it stays on in the wash, and I don't remember off the top of my head how long but it through several washings, and then it's built in. So we don't typically have a lot of problem with ticks in our family, even when there are other people who are getting them, because once you've treated your boots and your socks and your pants, they're far less likely to crawl up your pants because they get stuck with the repellent and they die. So it's good stuff.
Yeah. They don't like that. Yeah. I think a lot of folks, I used to be like that. I always assumed that insect repellent was for your skin only. That's not necessarily true. You can use it to treat your clothes, your boots, socks. That's where those ticks like to get snuggled all in there, where it's nice and warm and moist. So definitely recommend insect repellent there. Angelique, we've got just a few more minutes. Any other items on your list? Anything else that you'd like to include as maybe like a bonus essential or anything?
I always have a whistle. Always have a whistle. When you are lost, or if there's an emergency where you need to catch someone's attention very quickly who might be far from you, a whistle is a good thing. It's easy. I clip it on my backpack strap, so it just kind of hangs there. Some backpacks have them built in, integrated into the zipper or the clip. You can put it on your jacket and have it hang from your jacket, but they're small, they're easy, and it's a good thing to make sure that you have with you. And then the bug spray. Those are my 2 extras I think that everyone should have.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, both those, the whistle and the bug spray, could easily be numbers 11 and 12, I think, on the list of essentials for sure.
I have one more item. So
okay, let's see it. It's our final round of what's in Angelique's backpack.
I am a Leave No Trace level 2 instructor, which means, we think about leave no trace. And sometimes you got to go when you're not by a bathroom facility.
Yeah.
I keep a kit, and again, mine is larger because I use it as a teaching tools, but you should have your trowel and your stuff to pack out, your waste with you, to take with you. And I think that's a really important part of whenever you're leaving your house with the intention to go hiking somewhere where there may not be bathrooms.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to have to go, yes. I would say. So definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to leave that out there for other people to find. That's not courteous. That's that's against leave no trace principles. Right. We don't do that because we're scouts. We set a good example. We dig our cat holes. We take things with us so that we're not leaving anything behind. And to be able to do that well, it's good to have your trowel and your toilet paper and your bag, your disposal bag.
Yes. Very good. Very, very cool. Great discussion today, Angelique. Thank you so much for the time. We started a little bit late today, so we apologize to our viewers. Thank you, Angelique, for your patience. Thanks especially to Sawyer Products for their sponsorship today. Go to their website for more information. Mr. Brian, behind the scenes, Brian, is going to flash that up on the screen in 3, 2, 1. There it is, Sawyer.com. Go to their products and check it out. Angelique, great show today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Look forward.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Troop Talk Live.